We are going to get started in just a moment. Please come in and take your seats. Please come in and take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. We will be starting momentarily. I would like to start, as people are taking their seats, with our Executive Director, Lisabeth Lobenthal, for a few opening pre-remarks.
Thank you. Hi all, Shabbat Shalom. Regardless of what happens in the world, we always open with the same thing, which is that we want to make sure you look around you and notice where the exits are. So FYI, obviously straight back where you came in. And here, the glass also, our exit to the outside. If you need to use the restroom, just go straight out and to the right, and then you'll find it around the corner on the left. There's also a water fountain there. And if you need anything, I am in the back. Just wave your hand, and I will get you whatever you need and where you need to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, in Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Jason Rosner. I'm joined on the bima by my learned colleague, Rabbi Kavod Weider, by our Cantor Emerita, Shula Klir-Merton, by our president, Steve Blanc, by our cantorial soloist, Kim Gubner, by our choir, and by Carol helping us lift our spirits with the piano. And Evan. Oh, you were standing right in the way of Evan. And Evan. Hello, Evan. Okay, so, and Moish back doing AV. A quick overview. We're going to have a pre-service for about 45-ish minutes. We'll start with the national anthem, followed by Hatikva, and then we will have some speakers talking to us about what members of our community have done to support Israel, Jews throughout North America, and what we're doing here at home at Temple Beth El. Finally, you'll notice unusually there's a chair draped in a blue ribbon. This is part of the Union for Reform Judaism's nationwide push to honor hostages. And we will hear more about who these people are later, but we have this empty chair for these people that we wish were home with their families tonight. Before we officially kick off our service, we're going to begin with our preamble program, and I would invite you to please stand, face the colors, and Kim.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
If you would please remain standing. We're going to sing Hatikva, which is all in Hebrew. I invite everyone to join if you can, and if you don't know the words, hum along. And just so you know, what it says is that as long as in the heart within there is a soul that is living and vibrant, hope is never lost. That is who we're about, and that is what the anthem is called, Hatikva, the hope. So join in, because this message is as urgent today as it was 3,000 years ago. כל עוד בלב פנימה נפש יהודי הומיה ולפתי מזרח קדימה עין לציון צופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים.
You may be seated. We will be hearing from a number of speakers tonight. It is my honor to invite up the first. Dr. Susan Samueli will be representing the Samueli Family Foundation and how they have been helping in a response.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you tonight and share how Henry and I are humbly trying to do our part to help Israel during this dark time. If I cry through this, I'm sorry, but it's so difficult for us all. So I'll start over. I will start by saying, no matter what we do, it will never feel like enough, because we can't make the suffering end for Israeli families or bring the hostages home. But each of us can do something in our own way. First, Henry and I chose to use our voices, and I wish mine wasn't so hoarse, but it is. We typically do our work quietly, seeking little attention from the public. However, as owners of a professional sports team and visible Orange County philanthropists, we accept that our voice does carry weight in the community. So we use our platform to make it clear to our foundation partners and employees that we stand firmly in support of Israel. Words are not enough. So we paired this statement with a $500,000 gift, and that's just the beginning of immediate emergency relief donations. We selected 3 organizations: Magen David Adom, United Hatzalah, and Israel Aid, based on their immediate ability to offer relief services to those who are suffering in Israel. Michael Bloomberg also matched our donation to Magen David Adom to $200,000, so it became a $400,000 gift. So there is strength in working together. We will give a substantial amount of money in 2024, and actually today we had a foundation meeting and talked about our future gifts, which are going to be significant. to help Israel with education for children who have been forced to leave their homes, for the medical community, and to support the injured, and for other needs that emerge through this crisis. We're grateful to have both a team member and family living in Israel who remain safe and can provide us with on-the-ground perspective. We also know that here, closer to home, the Jewish community is in pain. Many people are increasingly afraid to live openly Jewish lives. College campuses have become places of violent anti-Jewish speech, and hate crimes are on the rise. We will consistently be looking for ways to relieve the tension on campuses. We must protect our Jewish students. Moreover, Henry and I have always looked for ways to support vibrant, safe, thriving Jewish lives, and that will continue to be a focus of ours in the future. Lastly, Temple Beth El is our home for prayer and sanctuary, and we've donated specifically to help enhance the temple's security so that everyone will continue to come here without hesitation. We, the Jewish community, are at our best when we remain united and strong. Am Israel Chai.
Thank you, Dr. Samueli. I would now like to call on our board president, Steve Blanc, to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you all. It warms me a lot to see everyone here, and I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank some other people who have helped put this together. I first want to recognize our security and our civic leaders who have reached out, connected with us, and of course, provided protection and assurances to us that we are front of mind in keeping us all safe. So I want to thank Sarah Shukowski, who was in large part of putting this together. Also, I want to thank Lisa Beth and Christine. I want to recognize Rabbi Rosner for what he has provided and Rabbi Kavod, and thank, of course, Shula for a beautiful leading of our Hatikva. I also want to thank Kim, as mentioned before, and of course Susan and Henry for what they do and what they give, and Susan's very warm comments. Helen Rasner, who is VP of Governance, will be speaking with us, as well as Alan Fenning. Sheila Stopniski will also be speaking. Wendy Lupel, and of course Shiffy Crane. And this is really the part that I believe I'm being asked to introduce with a lot of, heart. I've known Avi and Shiffy for many years and consider her to be one of the pillars of our community, both of them, and Shiffy especially with her involvement and engagement. And they're facing something that we read about in the paper. They're facing it on a personal level. And we've asked her to share some of her thoughts and stories. And again, it's such a difficult time, I know. It's difficult for all of us, and I don't want to minimize the pain and the challenge. But again, we're here together, we stand together, and with that, I'd like to ask Shiffy to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. I never dreamed that I would have this responsibility of sharing my Avi's and my feelings and thoughts about what's going on in Israel right now. I don't have anything special that I can tell you that's unique. We're all aware. But I did want to say to the folks calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, there was a ceasefire until the morning of October 7th. Do you know who broke it? So Avi and I lived on Kibbutz Shomrat. Oh, thanks. Ah, okay. Thank you. Avi and I lived on Kibbutz Shomrat from I lived in Israel for 3 years before I moved to Kibbutz Shomrat, and we were there in the 70s and 80s. And the people of Israel are longing for our support and for our companionship and our words of encouragement. There are a few things that we can do besides sending encouragement. First of all, we think that educating ourselves about everything going on and the details is very, very important and very helpful. Also, it's our responsibility to argue and explain and let people know that what they have been exposed to on the media may not be the full truth. We have to reach out to the skeptics and give them another side. Thirdly, we hope that we can support the Israeli economy by buying products from Israel. We don't have to do it only once a year with the honey from Israel, which is fantastic, but we can do it all year round. And also to communicate on Facebook with our support for Israel and for the people who are just in an unimaginable situation, an unfathomable situation. And I'll just conclude by saying that our friend's son-in-law and daughter, Aviv and Liat Atzili, were home just on a normal Shabbat morning, and they lived on kibbutz near Oz, and we haven't heard anything. Their families haven't heard anything at all since that morning. So we will do what we can from here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It's my pleasure to call up Helen Rasner. Helen and Bruce Rasner were one of the founding members of Temple Bethel of South Orange County, and Helen has been serving on our board of trustees as our vice president of governance, and really just brings a wonderful clarity and groundedness to all of our process.
Thank you. If I can find my script under here. I'm going to depart a little bit from the theme of tonight and kind of bring it down to our level here at Bethel. Let me take you back to early spring of 1981, even if you weren't born then. My husband, Bruce, Tricia Roth, another parent, and I were watching the kids at a soccer game at Moulton Elementary School in Laguna Niguel. We got to talking about the Jews in South Orange County and that there was not a synagogue serving coastal Orange County. After lamenting the situation, in typical Bruce fashion, he said, "Then let's just start one." And we did. Our first service in late spring had 50 people. By summer, we had weekly services at the Shepherd of the Hills Church in Laguna Niguel. And we had a summer camp for the kids at Moulton School. By the high holy days of that year, we held services in what used to be the Hilton in Laguna Hills, with close to 150 people attending. After several years in portables and rented office space, we arrived at this wonderful building. And of course, joining with the former Temple Eilat enhanced our presence in all of southern Orange County. Over the years, we have become a vibrant and multifaceted congregation, serving the needs of Reform and conservative worship minions. Temple Beth El is a warm and welcoming home to all who walk through our door. Let me list just a few of the things that Temple Beth El offers. Reform Shabbat services on Friday evenings, led by Rabbi Rosner. Conservative Shabbat services on Saturday mornings, led by Rabbi Kvod. Conservative mediation and spirituality classes and retreats. BE Sisters, Men's Club, classes in Hebrew, lectures on Israel, opportunities for Tikkun Olam, Torah study, healing and bereavement classes, mahjong in the gift shop. Our educational programs provide early childhood education, religious school, B'nai Mitzvah preparation, and now the newly opened Infant and Toddler Center. You can't find any activity that interests you? As Bruce once said, let's just do it and start one. But the most important thing that our congregation offers is the gift of ourselves to each other. It is the community of people here at Beth El and our commitment to preserve that Jewish community that keeps Beth El an important part of our lives. In these dark days, it is good to remember our successes and express gratitude for our blessings. We pray for the children, the soldiers, and the innocents caught up in the terror attacks against Israel. We pray that the casualties to come are small. We pray for the just victory over hate and terror that Israel will provide. Am Beth El Chai, Am Israel Chai, and with God's help, the Jewish people will live. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to call up Alan Fenning.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. So, somewhat like Helen did, a little bit down the memory lane. I was born in 1950, which was just 5 years after the end of World War II and the Holocaust. In my youth, the wound of the Holocaust, it was an open wound to the Jewish community. And today, we face the greatest threat, the Jewish people, since that time, in terms of the people lost on October 7th. And scars and wounds that I had thought long healed from my youth have reappeared. So with that, I'd like to talk about a few of the things I have been doing and a few of the things that I'm hoping that all of you will do. First, one of the things I do is I am the chair of the advisory board from the Grubelin Center for Human Rights at Claremont McKenna College. And while we address a broad range of human rights issues, there is a core focus upon the Holocaust and the Armenian genocide. And one of the things that keeps me inspired and hopeful are some of the tremendous students that I get to work with over the years as they go about pursuing careers in human rights. One recent graduate is now working at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in the department that deals with sort of the warning signs of genocide in different countries and issuing, raising the flag when there are signals of potential genocide. So it gives me hope to see wonderful people moving into these fields and being active. The other area that I am very active in, some of you know, is in the political sphere. And so since October 7th, I have been talking to lots of elected officials, talking about the issues of the increase in the rise of anti-Semitism and the fact of the issue of enhancing security at places of worship, congregations throughout California and here in Aliso Viejo. I'm also working to get many of those electeds to come to the temple here, take a tour, meet with the rabbis, senior staff, and have a better understanding of the issues and the anti-Semitism in our local communities also. And recently, I find myself once again up here looking to raise money. We have, as you may have, when you drove in today, seen that there are 5 or 6 security personnel around the facility as we drove in. That cost is a burden upon the operating costs for the temple, but we also have a number of steps that need to be taken to enhance the physical security around the facility. Such things as a guard booth and a guard arm at the entry to the parking lot so that people can be screened before they come on to the temple grounds. Panic buttons to complete the installation, panic buttons here around the temple. A PA system to give alert if there is any incident here. Higher fencing around the ECC. There's a number of things on the list. From the time of the announcement of a campaign for the crisis in Israel, seeking donations, 50% for the temple security, 50% for Magen David Adom. There's just over $125,000 has been raised. And today I want to ask all of you for a new goal, and that is to raise another $100,000 between now and the first night of Hanukkah, which is October 7th. December 7th, which is 2 months since the attack on October 7th. That to me has some symbolic importance. It is also 82 years from the time that Pearl Harbor was attacked. And I'll note that nobody, I don't think anybody of any significance, questioned the right of the United States to defend itself, its territory, and its people. And that should be the same today for Israel. So with that, in the coming month, I look for your support when we reach out to you. We have also, I want to quickly mention that we've also made an application to the state of California for funds from the state and from the feds for almost $250,000 towards the needs for both security personnel and hardening of our facility here. We don't know if we're going to get any of that money. The need is great around the state. So we need to raise money as if we're not getting any from the state, and if we get money from the state, we have lots of things we can spend it on to enhance security here. So thank you. I look for all your support. Shabbat Shalom.
Appreciate it. It's my pleasure to call up Sheila Stopnitsky, who's the Vice President of Membership here at Temple Bethel. In less than 2 years since Sheila and her large family have joined the synagogue, she's been the driving force behind helping make our Infant Toddler Center a reality. And it's a pleasure to have you speak to our community.
Shabbat Shalom. Let me start by saying how happy I am to look out and see you all there. It's really something. My name is Sheila Stopnitsky. My family joined Temple Bethel about 2 years ago. I'd like to share our experience. But first, some knowledge on the neuroscience of community. Here's some research from the Neuro Leadership Institute. In part, we've learned that our brain was designed to keep us alive. Initially living in small groups, in order to be safe. The brain evolved to experience reward responses when connected to other human beings, and a sense of danger when disconnected. Being part of a community assured us that we would be okay if things go wrong, much like our world today. Which brings me back to what I found here at Temple Bethel. We were embraced and welcomed by everyone that passed us. My children and their children have sang, danced, played, and prayed together with old friends and new friends. We have been encouraged to volunteer and be a part of sustaining a wonderful community of Jewish families with shared values and common interest. I've watched my grandchildren thrive in the religious school program. My family benefited so greatly from the ECC. We were anxious to help provide care for all our Jewish babies from 3 months on. I'm so grateful to be a part of a community that responded so lovingly to the need. What better way to build a community than starting with our children? I sometimes have the pleasure of sharing times here with my children's classmates from TVT. They now have their own children, and together we share our bond of community. The island of Okinawa boasts the highest, healthiest lifespan on Earth. Researchers partly attribute this to what the Japanese call moai. This is basically families forming havaras from birth for their children, and they keep that commitment for life. Whatever is needed for life, that's what being part of our tribe means. As the world hurts and disappoints us, we must turn to each other for common good and truth, for the kindness we have to give to each other. Know there are a lot of really good people in this world working on behalf of the less fortunate. Please know that the only thing that dims the darkness is our light. Be the light. Be the light. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to call up Wendy Lupel. Wendy is a regular leader in our Saturday morning conservative minyan, reading Torah, giving Divrei Torah. She also organizes, for how many years now, our Kiss All Women Shabbat service, which is coming up at the end of January. There's little bookmarks here. An opportunity to be in a room and have 200 Temple Bethel women help lead and share their light. Wendy.
Thank you. I was a teenager in 1967 when the Six-Day War broke out. This was, of course, before the internet, before social media, before cell phones. And yet our entire congregation spontaneously showed up at shul. So many were there, it looked like the high holidays. Why did all of these people go to the synagogue? Because we were hurting, and we knew that as Jews, we show up for each other, support each other in good times and bad, for the special and the mundane. We were together to cry, to console each other, and show we cared about each other and the young state of Israel. And that is what we do as Jews. We show up for community. We show up for our community. We show up for one another regardless of ideology or religious practices. From January to October of 2023, large-scale protests took place across Israel in response to the government's push for wide-ranging judicial reform. And yet, staunch Israeli protesters who had planned to not report for their IDF service came together for military service without hesitation in response to the October 7 war because they knew they needed to be there for each other. I've been asked to talk about how we show up for each other. Ever since that day in June 1967, shul was always my anchor. Whenever I felt adrift in life, I knew I could come to my synagogue for hope, calm, composure, and security. Our brethren in Israel go to their safe rooms, mamad, in times of trouble. This community is our safe room. Now more than ever, the Jewish people, we need to come together. We are facing so much animus, even danger from the outside world, from our world. We need to be there for each other. We need to be here for each other. And not just in these troubled times when anti-Semitism or anti-Israel sentiment and rhetoric make us targets of physical and verbal attacks on college campuses and on the streets of Orange County. In Exodus, we read about our people arriving at Mount Sinai. Chapter 19, verse 2 says, Vayisu mi refidim vayavo midbar Sinai, vayachanu bamidbar, vayichshan Yisrael, neged hahar. Having journeyed from Rephidim, they entered the wilderness of Sinai and encamped in the wilderness. Israel encamped there in front of the mountain. The verb encamped is first in the plural, but at Mount Sinai, Israel camped, singular. Why the difference? At Rephidim in the wilderness, the people of Israel bickered, fought, and kvetched with each other, and were not of one mind. But at Mount Sinai, where God gave the Torah to the children of Israel, they were of one mind, one heart. The Jewish people were unified, just as we are, just as we should be 3,300 years later. In this week's Parsha, Vayera, we read about Sodom and Gomorrah, where people were so evil that God wanted to and did destroy their world. In Sodom, the people were more than cruel to one another. The stories of bees, beds, and bloodletting is riveting and horrifying. Of Sodom, Ezekiel writes, "This was the sin of your sister Sodom, arrogance. She and her daughters had plenty of bread and untroubled tranquility, yet she did not support the poor and the needy." It was unlawful to give tzedakah, what we Jews see not just as charity, but an ethical obligation. Part of our work, even when the world seems awful, is to create space to be menschlich, be our best selves, resist those who want to make the right thing wrong. I'm not talking about tolerance. We shouldn't just tolerate each other. We ought to be inclusive and welcoming. We should be confident and comfortable that we are here for each other, that we show up for each other, support, console each other, and engage with each other. As B Sisters' upcoming luncheon theme says, we are family. We shouldn't have to wait for a war to break out to be together, united. Am Echad, one nation. Am Yisrael Achai. Shabbat Shalom.
Over dinner, Roxanne Cherry asked me a question. She said, "How's your heart?" It's broken. Like a lot of us. And I think about, somebody can tell me what the actual name for this Japanese art form is, where you take broken pieces of glass or something like that and you make it into a mosaic. You take what's broken and lay it out. Does anybody know what that is? Wabi-sabi. Say that again? Wabi-sabi, maybe. So as I'm feeling our community here together, I'm feeling us as one of those pieces, broken pieces that make beauty and connection when come together with intention and with love. And this is where I want to continue to be as we're making it through this dark time, is with one another and with each other. I also want to acknowledge that another point of connection that we have is we have a sister congregation in Israel, Kehilat Ra'anan, or Beit Samueli. is we've had a relationship for a long time that has been nurtured by the Samueli Foundation. And we've been in touch with Rabbi Chen Tzifoni. And of course, as you can imagine, they are also really hurting, really trying to be there for their community in the same way that we are here today, but under even much more intense fire, if you will. And I want to just encourage everybody, if you'd like to reach out to them in any way, whether it's financial support or it's just a letter of support saying we're with you, please, if you can write me, you can let me know. I'll send you their information, or you can look them up online. Before we close, I just want to say a couple words about our desire to stay connected in relationship with our interfaith partners. It broke a lot of our hearts as the leaders of the three communities, the Orange County Islamic Foundation, Shepherd of the Hills Church, and Temple Bethel, needed to cancel the in-person element of our interfaith Thanksgiving, which we've been doing for many, many, many years. And it was through a lot of deep and heartfelt conversation with the leaders of both communities to say that right now, because of the temperature, it's not the time. But what I want to let you all know is that all three of us are committed to continuing to nurture these relationships and to find ways to stay connected during this dark time. So we still are feeding the hungry in Orange County for Thanksgiving meals, and there's flyers out here. We're responsible for a certain list of items for 250 meals, which we'll give to families forward. And this is needed by November 13th. So there's a table outside at the bottom of the stairs. Bring it in by then, and we'll be able to do this mitzvah. And finally, I just would love to close with a prayer. I want to ask everybody to stand. To our Israeli brothers and sisters, we express the words of Tehillim, of Psalms. Imo anochi betzara. We are with you in your distress. It is our distress. We mourn the dead of unfathomable numbers, the young, the old, men, women, and children who were murdered by barbaric terrorists, and Israel's courageous soldiers who have fallen in defense of the state of Israel and its people, in defense of all of us, wherever we may be. All Kiddush Hashem, in sanctification of God's name. Yehi Zichram Baruch, may our memory for them be a blessing. We offer nichunim, comfort, to our mourners, whose losses are incalculable, whose lives have been inalterably scarred. We pray for refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, a full and speedy recovery for all the wounded in body and soul. We long for the ne'edarim, our missing. May they be found. We will not rest until the shuvim are abducted, are released, and returned to their loving families. We are grateful for the many beyond the Jewish community who have stood at Israel's side in this great moment of need. Dear God, be our partner as a Rofei Cholim, a healer of the stricken, a Menachem Avelim, a comforter of mourners, a Matir Asurim, a liberator of the captives. Od lo avda tikatevu, our hope is not lost. Liot am chofshi biartzenu, we will be a free people in our land. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, God strengthen your people Israel. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. God bless your people of Israel with shalom, with peace. Please join me in saying Amen. You may be seated. We now have the opportunity to transition our program to Kabbalat Shabbat, an opportunity to take this connection and the solemnness that we have and turn it into music and joy and what it is that we do truly stand and come together for. So I want to hand this over to Rabbi Rosner to begin our Kabbalat Shabbat service.
Thank you. My friends, I'd like to thank everyone who spoke. If in between these two parts of our program, you do need to step out. If you need, there are restrooms out and along the hallway there. And if you need fresh air, you can step out there or there. And if you do step out during the service and wander back in, that's perfectly okay. So we're going to do candle lighting. That's going to be in your blue books. If you have family or friends who are impacted and you would like to come forward and participate in the candle lighting, I invite you to do so. And we'll be on page 1. Please rise.
So while I light the candles and I bring the light toward myself, toward my heart, I invite you to close your eyes and do the same thing. And then I'm going to, if you'll allow me, share a nigun with you so that we might bring the light and the broken pieces together and recreate something new. And then we'll sing the blessing together. Yai da 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 da, yai da da da, yai da da da, yai da 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 da, yai da da da, yai da 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 da. Yai da da, yai da da, yai da da da, yai da da da, yai da da, yai da da, yai da da, yai da, yai da, yai da. Yai da 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 da, yai da da da, yai da da da, yai da 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 da, I da, yai da da da, yai da da da. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
You may be seated. We will continue in our blue books on page 18, I believe. We are going to be doing Shalom Aleichem, which is on page 7. On page 7.
Elion mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh hakadosh baruch hu. Seidchem lishalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shalom aleichem malachei hashalom malachei elyon mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh hakadosh baruch hu. We're going to pick it up just a bit. We're going to go on into Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Shabbat bride. There's going to be some singing and some clapping involved. And let's just try and raise our spirits a little bit, right? We're here, we may as well do it. Into Lecha Dodi.
Page 18. Page 18.
Yalla la 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 Lecha Dodi. Yalla la 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 lekrakala. Yalla la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Yalla la 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 Lecha Dodi. Yalla la 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 lekrakala. Yalla la 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 Pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 1, Shamor v'Zachor. Shamor v'Zachor b'dibor echad. Hishmiyanu elam yuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'litilah. Verse 2, Likrat Shabbat. Likrat Shabbat. Lechu v'nelcha. Ki mikor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava. Verse 5, Hitoreri. 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 Kavod Adonai, Allah Yechnigala. Sing it, ya la la, ya la 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 la, lechadodi, clap. Ya la 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 la, lechakala. Ya la 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 la, Panei Shabbat, Panei Shabbat nikabela. Ya la 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 la, lechadodi. Ya la 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 la, lechakala. Ya la 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 la, Panei Shabbat, Panei Shabbat nikabela. We're going to rise, we're going to face the door, and we're going to sing to the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha uvsola, toch emunei am segula, boi kala. One last time. Ya la 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 kadudi. Come on. Ya la 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 kakala. Ya la 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 Panei Shabbat. Panei Shabbat nikabela. Ya la 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 kadudi. Clap. Ya la 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 kakala. Ya la 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 Panei Shabbat. Panei Shabbat nikabela. Awesome. Moving into, oh, were you just going to say something? No?
We are going to, I am cheating off of Kim's notes tonight. Chatzi Kaddish on page 22. Oh, I'm doing it? Sure. Okay. I'm doing it. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach elotei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uvchayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman Karib V'meru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam ol me'almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal Shemei dekudsha brichu Leila mikol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata b'nei chemata Dahamihiran ve'alma v'meru. Amen. We'll continue with Baruch Hu on 23.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 la lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 la lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai.
We will continue on 26 with God of Creation.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach she'arim. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim.
We will continue on 27.
Tonight we're just going to do the Chatimah for Ahavat Olam. V'avatcha tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
We continue on page 29 with Listen on page 30. Page 30. You may stand if you wish for Shema.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. listen. If it is your custom to stand for the Shema, please do that now. Nice and strong. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malachuto, Leolam Va'ed. Listen, listen to our God. Listen, listen to our God.
You may be seated. We'll continue on 31.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam beshivtecha b'veitecha uvelechtecha vaderech uveshokbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam amezuzot beitecha Uvisharecha leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We will continue now on page 37. Page 37 with Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh No Tehilot O Seifele No Tehilot O Seifele Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Ne'edar B'Kodesh No Ra Tehilot No Ra Tehilot O Sefele And the river is wide And the river is deep And the river is standing between you and me to freedom, freedom, that we shall overcome one day. Ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha, nedar b'kodesh, no Adonai, mi kamocha, ne'edar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, o sefele. And the river divides, and the river forgives, and the river's a wall, and the river's a bridge to freedom, freedom, that we shall overcome one day. Freedom and freedom, freedom, that we shall overcome one day.
Malchutzecha ruvanecha, bokayam livnei Moshe Miriam Zelianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, v'galo me'ed hazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. We'll continue on 39, page 39.
Moving into the Hashkivenu. This is the prayer where we ask God to shelter us and to guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Let's try that again. Hashkivenu Adonai, beautiful. Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, good. Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Great. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Sing it again. L'chaim. One last time. L'chaim. Beautiful.
Shmor tzidzeinu v'einu l'chem l'shalom etav v'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, habaresu kashalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Please rise on page 41. Is this the
For
jumping?
Shamru.
Is this the jumping one?
This is the jumping one. Do you want to explain it?
It's very, very complicated. When you hear the word Vishamru, you jump as high as you can.
And if you don't want to jump, before this guy came along, we used to dab, which means one of these. Now, dabbing is out, but if you still want to do that, you can. Or you can jump, or you can just sing. Pick one of the three. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם. We're warming up, come on. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית. Again. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Perfect. Everybody standing for Adonai Sfatai. Thank you for volunteering to sing with us tonight. Excellent. Adonai Sfatai.
Excellent. Adonai Sfatai, page 43, going into, I'm going to cheat off Kim again, going directly into the silent Amidah, or are we doing it out loud?
Silent.
Okay, going into the silent Amidah after that.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
We will continue with silent prayer. If you are still speaking to God, please continue at your own pace. If you have concluded, please join us for Shalom Rav on page 57. Page 57.
Shalom Rav, Ho Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Ho Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. B'chol v'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'tochei u'b'cholecha b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
It's now time for us to turn our hearts to those who are in need of healing. As I point in your direction, please share the relationship with the person and the person's name. So if it is an aunt or an uncle, my uncle Steve, or my cousin Bill, so that we know how you are connected if you feel comfortable doing so. I invite you to share names at this time.
My cousin David.
Anyone else over here? Okay, over here.
My Aunt Marilee Brown, my mother-in-law Ari Governor, and our cousin who is in town from Israel with us.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Jackie, Donna Raskin's sister. My friend Debbie. My cousin Shirley. Friend Steve.
We had my mother's cousin, Hinda Bat Sora, and her mother, Sora Bat Leah, and all of those who are hostages tonight, the families who are sitting around their Shabbat table with an empty chair, and as always, those in our society without access to adequate health care or housing. Please join us, page 63, page 63.
Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
There is a greeting in Yiddish. Was macht a Yid? It means, what's up? But it literally means, what makes a Jew? We are a people who take greetings very seriously. Was macht a Yid? Act 1. Last weekend, I attended an interfaith lecture between a rabbi friend of mine and a priest, a Hare Krishna priest, at the Hare Krishna temple in Culver City. Before the lecture was to begin, my rabbi friend and I and his daughter were to have lunch at a small Indian restaurant on Venice Boulevard near La Cienega. For context, his daughter is in 12th grade. The restaurant is approximately 7 minutes' drive from the corner of Pico and Robertson, one of the largest Jewish neighborhoods in the country. We purchased our lunch, vegetarian Indian food, and we sat down at a table outside. I'm wearing my brown fedora. My rabbi friend is wearing his black kippah. A man walking by, a man who appeared to have fallen on hard times, walked up the street towards the store. He caught sight of my friend's kippah. Jew! Jew! He started yelling, waving his arms erratically. Appearing to have a mental episode, the man screamed Jew at us a few more times and nervously went into the Indian restaurant and market. You know the kind, you got spices and you've got candies and you've got a lunch counter. He goes in to make his purchase. He wanders out, sees us there again, starts yelling, Jew! Jew! Glances at us. Jew! Walks down the street a little bit. Jew! Jew! Walks down the street a little bit. Screaming, waving his arms. Eventually, he turns the corner and disappears onto a side street. Once he rounds the corner, I put down the glass Perrier bottle that I had instinctively picked up. the only object strong enough at hand to defend myself with if he were to attack us. In my head, as I looked at that Perrier bottle, I asked myself, Was macht a Yid? What makes a Jew? An hour after this event, we would all be sitting in the cool stone hall of the Hare Krishna temple, a mere 2 blocks away, and the Hare Krishna priest sitting in his lovely chair would open the interfaith dialogue with my friend the rabbi with the following words. Every religion must answer the following 3 essential questions about existence. Who am I? Where am I? And where am I going? The priest presented the Hare Krishna answer to these 3 questions. He knew, was macht a Hindu, but what about a Jew? Asks the Jew, who am I? A Jew, first and foremost, is a human being. And a human being is a human being because the human has a spark of God, a little bit of God inside of each and every one of us. Humans find joy in the creative process, and humans find joy in the destructive process. We are capable of exercising our free will. And humans can always improve ourselves and are never so broken that we are beyond redemption. Humans have personalities and memories and bodies, and these do not last forever. Even though these parts of us may die, a part of us, the divine spark that lives within us, is eternal. And as such, we owe every other human being on the planet a measure of empathy because we believe in some way that all human beings, indeed all life, are one, that we are all echad. A Jew is a human being, sure, but lots of people are human beings. What makes a Jew a Jew? A Jew is part of a tribe. The God of the Jewish tribe is a manifestation of the benevolent Creator that is unfortunately tied to the site of an ancestral temple in the middle of a rather tricky geopolitical situation. The Jew may celebrate Passover and Hanukkah while simultaneously being theologically Buddhist. The Jew argues with other Jews, with their rabbis, with the Torah, and most of all, the Jew argues with God. In this week's Torah portion, Vayera, Abraham, the world's first Jew, disagrees with God and tells God off for wanting to kill the citizens of Sodom and Gomorrah. In the prophets, in the Midrash, in the Talmud, in the Kabbalah, people have the chutzpah to ask God questions. And every single person asks God a version of this question at least once. Some people every day. It goes like this: God, I woke up in this existence with this body. I seem to be both an individual and part of a larger whole. Where am I? Asks the Jew, where am I? A Jew is born, if they're lucky, grows old, and eventually dies peacefully. The Jew is an individual, but the Jew is judged as part of a group, the Jewish tribe. And the Jewish tribe exists as a minority in a difficult and dangerous world. Was macht a Yid? Act 2. Pan in. Folding tables under a canopy on the sidewalk, adjacent to Venice Boulevard, in front of the Indian restaurant. My friends and I are finishing up our curry lunch. When we have finished eating, my younger friend, the one who I told you she's in 12th grade, she gets up and goes into the restaurant to pay. It's a small restaurant, only one entrance visible. As she does so, who comes back around the corner? The angry man with the spinning arms. Jew! Jew! And he makes a beeline for the entrance of the restaurant. As he enters the restaurant where my 12th grade friend, my friend's daughter, was going to pay, as he walks in the door, the scrape of metal chair legs on concrete as both my friend and I get instinctively to our feet. The Perrier bottle is back in my hand, and my friend and I take 2 steps towards the entrance of the restaurant. Heartbeats stretch out, each seeming to take an eternity. Maimonides, writing in the 12th century, states that Jews are not supposed to work on Shabbat, but a Jew may engage in the most brutal and unpleasant type of work on Shabbat. A Jew may engage in war on Shabbat, when that war is an existential war, a war against genocide, a war for our very survival. But would Maimonides have imagined that a war for our survival was playing out on a sunny Sunday afternoon in Culver City? Yet here we were, my rabbi friend and I, advancing slowly toward the entrance of the restaurant. Suddenly, the man bursts forth from the entrance of the restaurant, holding his wallet in his hand. He stares at us, Jew, walks a ways off, but not around the corner, takes a position, watches, and waits. My friends and I have a moment. The younger friend, the 12th grade woman, emerges from the shop. She and her father and I lock eyes. We form a group and, in unison, proceed to walk calmly and slowly away from our table and down the street towards the Hindu temple. The man follows. Asks the Jew, "Where am I going?" The Jew anticipates the day when the nations of the world will learn war no more. The Jew pines for the reunification with their relatives, both present throughout the world, past, and the Jew yearns for a connection with generations yet to come. The Jew, most of all, yearns for that thing promised by our prophets, that one day we might sit under our own vine and fig tree and not be afraid. Was macht a Yid, Act 3. My 2 friends and I are walking at a measured pace down Venice Boulevard towards the Hare Krishna temple. The man is pursuing us down the street. We are undeterred from our goal, but it is still a few blocks away. The three of us rotate, making discreet backwards glances to keep tabs on the pursuer. Abruptly, we reach an intersection, Venice and a small side street, and we wheel to the right onto the side street. The pursuer disappears from view for a moment, and we use that opening to step behind some cover. The pursuer reaches the intersection behind us. Unaware that we have turned into the side streets, he looks for us, yells Jew, waves his arms ineffectively one last time, and trundles past us, disappearing into the street, this time for good. Still waving his arms. Asks the Jew, "Where am I going?" We walk, the three of us, the remaining distance to the Hare Krishna temple. Around the temple grounds are the devotees of Krishna eating vegan food while sitting cross-legged in the grass. My friend centered himself and proceeded inside to prepare for his interfaith dialogue. Through the entire experience, he remained remarkably unflustered. And now the final scene, third act. Inside the Hare Krishna temple. The mid-afternoon sun peeks through latticed windows and splashes across the cool stone floor. The room is accented with oil paintings and red velvet. My rabbi friend appears at the side of the room, ready to enter and begin the dialogue. My younger friend, the one in 12th grade, she's the child of a military family. Father, mother, and daughter have spent decades traveling around, living on military bases here and overseas. She sits down cross-legged on the floor without missing a beat and begins chatting casually with old friends with whom she's been reunited. She wears her courage like a garment, and I sit, watching, listening, and reflecting. A few moments pass. My friend the rabbi enters and sits down in one of two chairs. The Hare Krishna priest enters with him and sits opposite him, and the dialogue begins. Every religion must answer these three essential questions about existence. Who am I? Where am I? And where am I going? Who are we? We are Jews. We believe in optimism even in times of deepest darkness. Where are we? We, the Jews. We live in a world that requires courage in the face of danger. And where are we going? We, the Jewish tribe. We are traveling from a world of brokenness towards a world of wholeness, from a world of division towards a world of unity, and from a world of war towards a world of peace. May the hostages be returned. May peace come soon to us, to Israel, and to all the world. Shabbat Shalom. Page 64, please rise for Aleinu.
One day. Sometimes I lay under the moon. I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon. 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There will be no wars and our people will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Ve'nemar ve'haya Adonai lemelech al haaretz bayom hahu, bayom hahu yehyeh Adonai echad u'shemo u'shemo u'shemo. One day, 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 one day.
You may be seated. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy, 'tis a human thing to love, a holy thing to love, what death has touched. We will now recite the names of those for whom we are in mourning. If you have additional names, I will invite you to add them when I point in your direction. And if, God forbid, I mess up a name, please correct me. This week we are mourning the loss of Seth Penzel, husband of Pia and father of Talia, and Melford Burns, husband of Suzanne Burns. We continue to mourn Martin Cole, Judith Kovach, and Miriam Wellickson, and we mark the following yahrzeits: Joachim Anschel, Douglas Bendel, Sherry Burns, Michael Brager, Abraham Birkin, Belle Cherney, Glenn Thomas Church II, Jeff Cohen, Leonore Crane, Richard Davis, John Dull, Stanley Finkelstein, Louis Friend, Ann Gibbs, Leonard Golkin, Joseph Nathan Gordon, Lionel Hilburn, Naomi Horwitz, Herbert Hudson, Harvey Conheim, Patricia Langelier, Louis Lawrence, Max Lupel, Leslie Olin, Dr. Richard Pencava, Ruby Reicher, David Reich, William Monk Robinson, Louis Rosen, Ida Rosen, Nate Sachs, Stephen Schweed, Anna Shapiro, Howard Shirane, Arnold Silva, Sanford Silverman, Nettie Spiegelman, Estelle Stern, Millie Stewart, Malcolm Werner, Larry Weintraub, Louis Wall, Ruth Wolotsky, Paul Zimmerman, and Jack Zoller. I invite you, if it is your custom, to rise with the mourners. Page 73. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alama divarach irutei ve'amlich malchutei. Be'chayachon u'vyomachon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dukucha b'rechu. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata ta'amiran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. You may be seated. Yes.
So instead of two Kiddush Motzi out there, but we'll finish in here with the light and then go out there for Kiddush Motzi.
Perfect. Okay. A few things coming up. Our meditation retreat registration is open. That will be in January. Rosh Chodesh, we'll be having a Rosh Chodesh morning of prayer and discussion. That's November 14th at 10. Also the 14th at 7:30, there will be an Israel Matters presentation on the history of Israel and Gaza. And Temple Bethel welcomes back Dr. Bill Hoy, an end-of-life and bereavement expert who will be sharing and reflecting over his personal grief journey. He will be addressing us on November 7th, and again, all of the details are on our website. I would like to thank our cantorial soloist, Kim Gubner, our choir. I would like to thank Evan and Carol and Moshe, and Cantor Emerita Shula, and Steve, and all of our members of our board, and all of our speakers this evening. Dr. Susan Samueli, Helen Rasner, Alan Fenning, Sheila Stupnitsky, Wendy Lupel, and Shifi Crane. And as always, thanks to my learned colleague, Rabbi Weider, and to all of you, our membership, for being here tonight. We have two challahs going out. The first one is headed towards Laguna Woods. Is there someone going to Laguna Woods that would like to take a challah to Laguna Woods? All right, we got one in back, and we have one that is going towards Mission Viejo. Anyone Mission Viejo? Okay. All right, my friends, and now, my understanding is we're going to stand and we're going to conclude with a song in here, and then we will adjourn to the social hall for Oneg. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, please rise and sway gently, I think, is the idea.
Inviting the light back into our lives. Be the light inside the darkness, be the hope, burning bright into the night, be the voice. For those who cannot raise it, be the one who leads the way through the world's darkest days. Be the light, be the light, be the light. When days feel long and all that's left inside you are darkest days, reach for the light to guide you. The miracle of change begins with sparks of light we find within. We shine. When we get close together, we will see a people strong, a shared
transform darkness into light, to lead with love instead of might. We shine, we shine. Be the light, be the light inside the darkness, be the hope burning bright into the night, be the voice for those who cannot erase it, be the one who leads the way through the world's darkest days. Be the light, be the light, be the light.
Shabbat Shalom, and have a weekend of light.
Shabbat Shalom. Everyone is welcome to Oneg in the social hall.